First at noon, new developments in the Middle East. A temporary ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah is now in effect and follows more than a year of cross-border fighting. As Natalie Brand reports, the Biden administration helped broker the deal.
Cars streamed back into bombarded neighborhoods throughout Lebanon Wednesday. This resident said going back home is the nicest feeling. Fighting along Lebanon's border with northern Israel displaced more than 1 million people. This Israeli resident said, "This is what we've been waiting for. Now we can get back to work." The U.S. brokered ceasefire deal between Israel and the Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah took effect early Wednesday. Under the agreement, over the next 60 days, the Lebanese army and state security forces will take control, and Israel will gradually withdraw its remaining forces from Lebanon.
Of course, we're going to have to monitor it and implement it day by day, and the United States and France, along with our other allies, are committed to help doing that. And of course, at the end of the day, as the deal states, Israel retains the right to self-defense if Hezbollah or any other terrorist group violates the deal.
The U.S. is also making another push to get a larger ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas to end fighting in Gaza and get the remaining Israeli hostages released.
It's believed around 100 hostages are still being held in Gaza. At least a third of them are believed to be dead. Families pray the deal in Lebanon will lead to more.
For sure, there is a way that we can bridge the gap, and we've just heard today that Hamas is willing to have a ceasefire deal, and therefore the same mediators should put their foot down, set the goal to have a ceasefire deal with all the hostages being brought back home.
As negotiations continue, the Biden administration says it's keeping the incoming Trump team informed. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Meanwhile, 3 Americans who spent years detained in China will soon be reunited with their families. U.S. officials say the Americans were released in exchange for an undisclosed number of Chinese nationals. One was serving a 10-year sentence on espionage charges. Another was detained back in 2012 on drug-related charges and was later sentenced to death. And a third was serving a life sentence on spying charges. The release follows years of quiet diplomatic efforts by the Biden administration. Several of President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet nominees and other appointees were recently subjects of bomb threats and swatting attacks. Now, law enforcement officials say the threats were deemed to be not credible, and some may have come in over social media. The Trump transition team did not identify who was targeted. In a statement, the FBI said it was aware of the threats and is working with its law enforcement partners to investigate those threats. Now to the Thanksgiving travel rush. Millions of travelers have already passed through airport security checkpoints. On Tuesday, TSA screened nearly 2.7 million travelers. That's about 50,000 more travelers than the same day last year. Today and Sunday are expected to be the busiest days to fly this week. Our Casey Lund went to check it out.
Would you look at this? The holidays in full swing here at the Daniel K. Inouye International Airport, Terminal 1, the Hawaiian Airlines terminal. You know, we started our morning here around 4:30 a.m. And I got to tell you, there were some lulls, there were some peaks, but all things considered, it was relatively peaceful, though. It didn't keep us from catching up with some of those holiday travelers. I met one young local girl who was very excited for her Thanksgiving plans. Where are we headed for Thanksgiving today?
Big Island.
Whose house are we going to?
Grandma's house.
What are we going to eat?
Turkey.
Turkey. What's your favorite part about Thanksgiving?
The pumpkin pie. Yeah.
Anything you want to say to everybody watching on TV?
Slay the day.
Slay the day. All right, you guys have a good trip. Of course, many folks were doing those traditional Thanksgiving things, but not everybody. I talked to Linda Nichols, who was doing her own thing.
I'm heading to Kauai.
Okay, what are your plans for the Thanksgiving holiday?
I'm going to enjoy Mother Nature, go hiking on the Nepali coast, and just sightsee. Go up to Waimea, Kokei State Park, and do a lot of sightseeing.
Yeah, and you got to the airport how early?
Early. My flight's at 7, so I'm here at about 5:45 right now, 5:30.
Didn't want to risk it just in case there was some kind of Thanksgiving craziness.
No, I don't like crowds.
Yeah.
No.
Very good. Well, Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Aloha.
Over at Terminal 2, things weren't all that bad either. Many of the travelers getting through those lines, TSA checkpoints, just fine. We met up with a couple visiting from Texas on their way back home. How was your trip?
It was wonderful.
Wonderful.
Best vacation I've had in a long time.
Very good. Enjoyed the weather, I'm sure.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Back here in Terminal 1, if you're traveling inter-island, give yourself at least an hour before your flight. And a reminder, parking is jam-packed here in the parking garage above the Hawaiian Airlines terminal, so consider that. Also at Terminal 2, if you're heading to the U.S. mainland, give yourself at least 2 hours. Be safe, be kind to one another as you head out. Things can change at any moment and can really pick up, especially at those TSA checkpoints. A reminder as well to download the app for your airline. Most have gotten pretty good about sending push alerts for any changes, delays, or cancellations. Reporting at the Daniel K. Inouye International Airport, I'm Casey Lund. For now, we'll send things back to you.
Thank you, Case. A 14-year-old boy was hospitalized after he hit a car while riding an e-bike in Kapolei. It happened just before 6 last night near Kapolei Parkway and Kama'aha Avenue. HPD tells us that the boy rear-ended a car that was attempting to make a turn across a marked bike lane. The teen was ejected onto the road. It's unclear if he was wearing a helmet at the time of the crash, but EMS tells us his injuries are considered serious. And a tragic update on a Kalihi crash. A 79-year-old woman who was hit in a marked crosswalk on Kalihi Street earlier this month has died. It happened back on November 8th. She was hit by a car attempting to make a turn onto the street. Police were notified yesterday that she died of her injuries. The 49-year-old driver remained at the scene at the time of the crash. Speed, drugs, and alcohol do not appear to be factors. The discovery of a wild duck with avian flu on Oahu's North Shore is raising fears about the disease spreading island-wide. The hybrid mallard was found during surveillance at the James Campbell National Wildlife Preserve in Kahuku. State land officials say they haven't found similar infections on wildlife preservation areas. The first confirmed infection of avian flu in Hawaii was at a Wahiawa bird rescue sanctuary, where more than 100 birds died either from infection or euthanization to prevent the spread.
Fears about our precious native endangered species here. Luckily, most of them are up in the mountains, not where ducks and chickens are gathering. They're less likely to be exposed.
The state and federal governments are conducting widespread surveillance and testing. They say they have a plan in case the disease spreads to other areas and are asking the public to be vigilant and careful with any infected or dead birds. Hawaii's Congress members are racing to get more disaster aid approved for Maui before President-elect Trump takes office. President Biden is asking Congress to approve nearly $100 billion in spending for 40 states recovering from natural disasters. Mr. Biden wants to sign the bill before Christmas and wants to get it done before the Trump administration starts on January 20th. Hawaii Senator Brian Schatz is part of the bipartisan effort to push it through.
There are lots of folks who are very worried about the Trump administration and lots of very good things to worry about, very legitimate things to worry about. My view as it relates to disaster is that we should hurry because people have been waiting too long. We should hurry because people are struggling and suffering.
At some point, there's going to be a need to shut down some of the temporary housing arrangements that families have. Some of those people will leave Maui. Some of those folks, if they don't find a home, may be rendered homeless, which of course is not something any of us want. Not having those homes rebuilt means that Maui will continue to have an acute housing crisis.
Senator Schatz wouldn't say specifically how much Hawaii could get during these bipartisan negotiations, but Congress is now on Thanksgiving break and will resume work on December 2nd. East Oahu residents say they want answers on future housing projects, but landowner Kamehameha Schools says not yet. Eddie Dowd has more from a contentious meeting.
It was a packed neighborhood board meeting here in Hawaii Kai, and residents we talked to say it was because of a rumor going around that new development had been planned for this area. Anxious residents packed the Hahaione Elementary School cafeteria to hear what Kamehameha Schools plans to do with hundreds of acres of land in Maunalua, where many 50-year leases are about to run out.
We would not want to see a big high-rise, not do inappropriate development.
But those wanting answers were left disappointed as KS Representative Marissa Harmon said the trust is not ready to release any specifics.
We're, hearing community input that we've done at smaller stakeholder groups. We're doing land analysis. We are taking input, but we don't have a plan.
Harmon admits her group told the neighborhood board a year ago that they would be back with a plan. Some residents demanded answers.
The question was, since you've said you need additional time, will you commit that Kamehameha Schools will not enter into negotiations to sell off any of these parcels?
David, she cannot make that commitment for the organization.
Infrastructure. Our sewers, our water's breaking down all the time.
Some are also worried the land will be used for large affordable housing projects. Kamehameha Schools says it's not off the table.
We have young adults telling us they would like to see multifamily and affordable housing options. We have, residents who've been here for decades that don't want to see change. And so as the landowner in the middle, just kind of finding that facilitation and balance.
We are overpopulated, and in this area we already have traffic issues.
But some defended the trust.
Right now, Hawaiians are in dire straits. We need housing. We need the housing.
The KS rep says they hope to have plans ready in 2025. Residents who fear they won't be included in the process will be waiting. Eddie Dowd, Hawaii News Now.
Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. Almost to Thanksgiving tomorrow, a 100% chance for turkey tomorrow. Let's take a look at our first alert weather headlines. The trade winds are ramping back up out there. A little bit breezy today, even breezier throughout Thanksgiving and Friday. Great Thanksgiving weather out there. Wonderful skies, really sunny skies. And we also have a first alert for you. Extra large surf is expected on Friday and Saturday. You can take a look at our winds. We're actually going to start seeing more northeasterly winds as we're going forward into the rest of today and tomorrow. They were lighter earlier this week. This is this afternoon around 1 p.m. Northeasterly winds between 10 to 15 miles per hour. A little bit breezier over parts of Maui County. This is going to be even stronger on Thursday. I'll give you a further breakdown of my full forecast coming up.
Thanks, Drew. Ahead on This Is Now, we have a new set of cases that Honolulu Crime Stoppers needs your help solving. Plus, this Thanksgiving, more home cooks are turning to artificial intelligence for help in the kitchen. We'll explain when we come back. Crime Roundup. Joining us now is Sergeant Chris Kim with Honolulu Crime Stoppers. What do you have for us today?
I got 3 cases I want to highlight. The first case of robbery in the second degree that happened on Wednesday, November 13, 2024. At about 7 o'clock p.m., this male entered the Ross's store at the Pearl Highlands, began to select various merchandise, and then fled without making payment. When the employee tried to stop him, he then physically assaulted the employee and fled. He's been described as an unknown local male, late 20s, wearing a black t-shirt, black shorts, and white Nike shoes. Our next case is an unauthorized entry in a motor vehicle in the first degree that happened on Tuesday, November 12, 2024, at about 12:21 p.m. This male is captured in video surveillance entering the complainant's vehicle, which was parked in their garage over off of Pali Highway, and then took property. Using this video as also as a learning tool, just to make sure that you lock and secure your vehicles, even when you're at home in the carport or garage. As you can see here, this guy pulls up and he pulled on the door handle, and unfortunately it was unlocked, and he was able to get away with some of the complainant's property. He's being described as an unknown male, medium build, wearing a black tank top. And our last case is a theft in the second degree on Thursday, October 10, 2024, about at 1:16 p.m. This male entered a convenience store off of Pearl City, in the Pearl City area, and took the complainant's wallet, which they had inadvertently left behind. You kind of see pretty clear video. He then reaches over and grabs the video that was placed over by that little debit card terminal thing. He's been described as an unknown male, heavy build, brown complexion, wearing a gray cap and gray shirt. All 3 cases we talked about can be seen over at the www.honolulu.org website, bottom left-hand corner, under wanted person, as well as all the other cases that we need help from the community in solving.
All right, Chris, we appreciate you being here, and have a happy Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Same to you.
Okay, let's take a live look outside. Drew's going to have your full forecast when we come back in 2 minutes.
Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. Almost to Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's tomorrow, and I'm forecasting a 100% chance for turkey. We've got wonderful weather out there. Let's take a look at our first alert weather headlines, what we're tracking. Trade winds ramping back up over the next couple of days. They're going to be a little bit breezy today, even stronger throughout Thursday and Friday. Great Thanksgiving weather. Really expecting some sunny skies, some dry air across the state, and wonderful trade wind weather. Also, a first alert for you. We're tracking extra large surf by the time we get to Friday and Saturday. We could potentially see the first high surf warnings of the season. Taking a look at our tempcast out there for Thanksgiving week, we've really got wonderful temperatures. 84 degrees for a high temperature in town, 10 to 15 mile per per hour winds for the holiday. Just wonderful out there. Taking a quick look at our surf and shoreline forecast. North-facing shores are dropping a little bit. Wednesday afternoon is what this forecast is for. A little bit choppy out there on east-facing shores as well. But that's all going to change by the time we get to this upcoming weekend. A very large swell is on the way for north and west-facing shores. So by the time we get to Friday night into Saturday, you can see this is around 12 a.m. Friday. We're seeing a large swell that's going to approach from the northwest and will likely cause the first high surf warnings of the season, and that will hold on throughout Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. In our first alert windcast, you can see this afternoon trade winds out of the northeast between 10 to 15 miles per hour, sometimes a little bit higher than that over on parts of Maui County, and even more easterly winds are expected as we're going into Thursday, and much stronger out there. These winds will continue to build by the time we get to this upcoming Friday. Let's go through your island by island forecast. Over on Kauai, isolated showers and sunny for your Wednesday. Oahu, sunny. Trade winds are building. Moving down the island chain to Maui County, spotty morning showers and sunny conditions are expected. On the island of Maui, Kihei around 84 degrees, a little bit cooler in Kahului around 82. Kailua Kona 81 degrees, calm winds. Hilo mostly sunny, northeasterlies between 5 to 15 miles per hour. The northern parts of the Big Island will see scattered showers and partly cloudy conditions. Still a little bit gusty out there, some wind gusts getting closer to 20 miles per hour. Let's break down your first alert 7-day forecast. You can see we've got wonderful weather in the skies over the next couple of days. Turkey Day. 100% chance of turkey, northeasterlies around 10 to 15 miles per hour, and then we're seeing gusty conditions on Friday and Saturday.
If you're struggling to find a recipe for the Thanksgiving holiday, or if you want new ideas on how to use all of those Turkey Day leftovers, artificial intelligence could help. Michael Yoshida shows us how AI is being used in the kitchen this holiday season.
New AI-powered recipe generators are combining traditional food blogging with computer programming. Using generative artificial intelligence to change the way people plan for and prepare meals.
If you were just searching online or browsing through cookbooks, you might find a couple. But with AI, you can generate a lot of different ideas and then find the one that best suits your needs.
Andrew Olson, a software developer who was also a food blogger for many years, is the founder of dishgen.com. It's one of many AI-powered recipe generators that have been created in recent years. For DishGen, you go to the website, type in the ingredients you have or a dish you'd like to try, along with any dietary restrictions you might have. The AI will then generate a new recipe with description, ingredients, and steps.
As a food blogger, over 8 or 10 years, I maybe developed hundreds of recipes. On DishGen, there have been millions of recipes generated over the last year.
What about food and recipe safety? Olson says you should always use common sense when using anything generated by AI. But he adds, DishGen has worked to make sure its recipes make sense and are safe.
There's several layers, actually. Part of it is just making sure that words that shouldn't be included in a recipe are blocked. It'll check itself. It'll have a sense of self-awareness to say, is this something that should be included in a recipe?
And that's Michael Yoshida reporting. Meanwhile, we have another story about Thanksgiving traditions, some misconceptions about the feasts that have been passed down as facts. Mandy Gaither is debunking common myths about the holiday meal and the celebrations.
It's time for turkey, stuffing, and all those traditional Thanksgiving dishes. But if you've heard eating this bird makes you tired, that's not exactly true.
The turkey's not necessarily to blame.
Registered dietitian Sarah Ream with Orlando Health says it's true that turkey contains small amounts of an amino acid called tryptophan, which is needed to release hormones that can make a person relax. But for the meat to make you sleepy, you'd need to eat a lot of it. If you're tired after turkey, Ream says the likely culprit is excessive carbohydrate consumption, causing a blood sugar spike.
That subsequent blood sugar drop that comes down after that, as our bodies are kind of starting to normalize and process and digest that food, that's what's actually causing us to be tired.
Ream says many people tend to overeat on Thanksgiving, but it's another misconception that you have to eat excessive amounts of food.
I would really encourage you to stay more in tune with your body. Listen to your hunger and your fullness cues.
While Americans are used to their Thanksgiving staples, Ream says it's a misconception that you can't stray away from that. She recommends swapping out some ingredients for healthier ones.
items that have a little bit less of those inflammatory ingredients, like our saturated fat, our added sugar, and our sodium, are ways to make things a little bit healthier, a little bit more nutritious for us, without changing the whole Thanksgiving meal.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A beloved holiday tradition is coming to life in Manhattan. The last-minute touches being made to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade just ahead. In New York, the anticipation is building for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Bands are doing their final rehearsals, floats are getting the final touches, and the balloons are taking shape. Jay Gray takes us there.
We've been talking a lot lately about inflation, but this is the good kind on the upper west side of Manhattan. Take a look behind me. They are getting ready for tomorrow's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, the 99th annual parade that will wind through the streets of New York. And what a parade it should be. All of the balloons, all of the floats, the clowns, the marching bands, though tomorrow it looks like we may also have an uninvited guest.
The Macy's Parade marches rain or shine, so we're excited for tomorrow. We're ready for tomorrow, and we can't wait to have a parade.
Yeah, a pretty good chance of rain during the parade tomorrow, and will likely clear out of the New York area once the parade has finished. Let's talk a little bit about what you're going to see. 17 featured character balloons.